everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is MichelleAna. If you're here for the first time, and if you've been here before, what's up, family? Happy Monday, or happy whatever day you're watching this. I hope that this video finds you well. I literally have you guys on my desk. It was super rainy today in Jersey, but the sun literally just came out. So I was just kind of pondering just a few things that I feel like being in quarantine or self-quarantine has taught me, and what this time has really, what I've been learning about me. And I was like, well, that would be a great video to do. Like, why not? I'm going to just prompt you guys on my desk and then just talk about it. So I have a few things kind of going on. I promise I will do an updated apartment tour. I know you guys are dying to see how I'm decorating. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably have already seen a few of the color palette choices that I've made regarding like my couches or whatnot. And please make sure you're following me on Instagram, because I'm gonna do a giveaway this week and I cannot wait to announce it. But if you guys are interested in knowing just some of the things that I've been learning in this season of being quarantined, self-quarantine, just keep on watching. I really am just gonna let this video kind of flow, because I feel like it's gonna be definitely one that is relatable. I feel a lot of us have witnessed it has gotten real. Okay, the last few days, weeks have been very real. People have been now just personally impacted by the COVID-19, and it's really it's gotten real. Like, that's like the only way I can really describe it. You know, people have been personally impacted. People have actually had the coronavirus, as well as people knowing family members and friends and church family that have passed away. And it's so sad. There was a point in time with this whole thing where my heart was just grieving for the passing of the old normal and what life is going to look like after this. And so I kind of have been really kind of forced and thrusted into this time with the Lord. I didn't even know that I needed it, nor did I know that it was going to happen in this way, but it did. And as much as I do spend time with God on a regular, on a normal, that's just because I need God every day, all day. But this time has been different. Being in this kind of like self-quarantine has really caused me to force myself to see some of the areas in my life that were kind of like buried, if you will, kind of like I hadn't addressed it. And I was very like, I don't know how to describe it, but I was kind of like, I didn't know that was still there. Like, what do you mean? And so in this time, I know that we're all trying to figure out whether we want to be productive, whether we even want to show up to work, whether we even want to learn anything. We're all handling this very different. There's no right way to handle what's happening right now. But I think the main thread that we all feel is this like grieving what was normal to us and trying to adapt to some sort of normalcy while we're in this, and then also pivoting to what future will look like, what our future daily lives will look like outside of what we have been kind of forced into in this season. And I think that thread is kind of like a thread of sadness a little bit, and a thread of like grieving, because nothing will ever be the same. Some of us are coming out of this season losing people that we loved, and it's not something light, and I don't consider it anything light. I don't know what it's like to lose someone in this sort of season, but one of the things that I feel like God is speaking right now to me personally as a single woman is that I'm not to take this time as one lightly, right? I'm not supposed to take this time lightly. I'm supposed to literally kind of confront myself in this time. And that's like one of the top things I feel like I'm learning, right? Not to take this time as like, oh my gosh, like, why am I having to do this alone, or why does this feel like isolation? And God had to kind of change my language about it. It's not isolation. It's literally a time of incubation. It's a time where I need you to be in this incubator, just you and I, right? You know, you as my daughter, you as a single woman, you as a businesswoman, you as just you showing up to the world. I need to spend time with you. And there are things in this incubator that I need to nourish you in, equip you in, and ultimately I need you to learn. Because outside of this incubator, there are things that you're going to have to apply and teach and give that are outside of this safe place. And not to say that God's sovereignty won't follow me in any room and conversation and place that I go, but there are pivotal and vital, that's the word, there are vital, nourishing factors that we all need in this season, right? In this incubating season, in this incubator. And if we miss it by focusing on the things that we don't have and the things that are not working out for us, what happens is we are bypassing and we're not looking at this season as this incubation season, as I call it, or self-quarantine, as what it needs to be. There was a few days where I was just like gripped. My heart was so gripped. I am someone who I just feel a lot, and I've always been this way. I've always been super sensitive since I was a kid, and I always just was very empathetic with people. And if I saw somebody crying, I would cry. If I saw somebody, being bullied or just sad, like I would just empathize a lot with people. And but then kind of growing up, I had to kind of roughen up, right? And just life roughened me up. And then as an adult now, 29 years old, y'all, I'm gonna be 30 in exactly a month. Today is April 13th. I'm gonna be 30 May 13th. All right, this lighting is getting kind of weird. Let's fix this. Life has just taught me that it's okay for me to be the way that I am because it's part of my gifting. It's part of how I show up in the world. And so I'm kind of going back to that, right? And I had to, you guys know, like I know me and I know the moments that I need to step away from social media, from the media. And it's my job. Like this is what I do for a living. And, I will say that I had to change my language and also change my habits to really take care of me. So I changed my language from this being a time of like isolation to this being a time of me being in an incubator and being nourished with the things that I need to be nourished. With that being said, comes revelation, right? And so y'all know that I live by journaling. I mean, I am almost done with this journal. I'm kind of sad. I don't know if you guys feel this way. Those who journal a lot, you kind of feel like a little sad when you finish a journal because you're like, oh my gosh, like so much was written here and so many revelations and insight, and you're just like, you get attached. But then comes a new journal and you're just like, oh, okay, well, let me start new or let me start fresh or whatever the case is. And so this lighting, honey, this lighting is coming in strong, okay? Okay, cool. The lighting is still good here. It's all right. We're going to work with it. But with journaling and stuff comes so much revelation, right? And I feel like one of the things that I've learned is that before God can bless you, right? Before God can reward you, there has to be obedience to his word. There has to be trust. There has to be this level of surrender that almost always doesn't even make sense in our capacity. It's like we don't understand what he's doing because he lives outside of time and he lives outside of our will and our own mental capacity. And so what I feel like God has been kind of doing is really stretching my mind to know that there are things outside of my mindset that, like, his thoughts are not my thoughts. Like, he literally thinks outside of the things that I can even possibly imagine. And last week on my live, like I said, Wednesday night lives be so popping, like, oh my gosh. Essentially, I was talking about being a finisher and the characteristics of being a finisher. And the scripture I was referencing was in Haggai 2:9, and it was just talking about how the latter will be greater, right? And what happened here was that the Jews pretty much finished what they started. You know, Haggai had to come in and get it together and be like, y'all need to get this together and finish what you started. But what happened was they needed to be obedient to the instructions that God gave them and finish what they started in order to receive the latter blessing, the blessing that was coming after the work was done. And God was reminding me, you need to finish what you started. That when you finish what you started, you are being obedient, right, to what he has asked of you. And to me, that was so essential in kind of recognizing in the season. And that all happened through just the process that I take myself through journaling. There's very specific ways that I journal that allow my mind to receive and my heart to receive what God is doing and what God is saying. It just opens my heart and my mind. And one of the things that I'm actually working on is literally creating a space for you, someone like yourself, who is trying to figure out how to actually tap into that, how to tap into God's voice, and how to, on the daily, journal so that you can not only spend time with God and have that devotional time, that really substance kind of time with the Lord, but also receive insight and revelation as you are journaling your gratitude, your frustrations, and your concerns. Sometimes we write and we talk to God so much, but we don't sit and we don't listen to what he has to say right through his word, y'all. This is why I love the Bible. Oh my gosh. This is why I love the Bible, because it's so good and it's so rich and it's so practical. So with that all said, it's literally going to be a 2-hour live experience that we're going to do. It is going to be very limited in terms of how many, people I'm going to give access to it. But if you're on my email list, you guys are literally going to get an email this week. And if you don't know how to get on my email list, just check the description box below, because it's always there. But essentially, I just love what God is doing, because one, I was able to identify the actual language of what the season is called. It's not isolation, it's incubation. It's literally, I don't even know if incubation is a word, but it's like I'm in an incubator. And then the other revelation was just literally understanding that in this season, I am to obey the instructions that God has already given me to finish what I've already started. And that all happens when you are spending that genuine quality time, or I would say that's something that I've experienced in my journal time, and sitting with God. If we don't sit with the person we want to get to know and actually listen, how can we get to know them? The absolute best way to get to know God is to spend time with him. So I'm super excited to give more details on what that's going to look like. It's going to be super soon, literally within the next week or two. But if you're on my email list, you're going to get an email this week, so you'll know. But I really wanted to just share the insight and what I've kind of learned. I feel like God is going to show me a lot more. But for now, I wanted to really share that with you. Maybe that speaks to where you are in this whole self-quarantine, right? I think that it's very important for you to identify what God is actually trying to tell you in this season. Don't just focus on It's very easy to focus on the negative and the pain and the uncertainty. But if you could just come out of yourself for a moment and look at what God is trying to tell you in this season as you silence yourself and your thoughts and all that stuff, there is so much greater revelation when it comes down to the moments that you get to spend with God. It's not easy to get outside of your reality, but it's so much better and so much more peaceful to at least begin to understand what God is trying to tell his kids, what God is trying to tell us. With that being said, I really hope that maybe this kind of allows you to pause and try to identify some of the things that maybe God is trying to tell you. Maybe God is trying to tell you to slow down. Maybe you don't need to create nothing in this season. Maybe you actually do need to spend time with your husband or your wife or your family or your kids. Or maybe it is the time to get to work and finish what you started. I don't know what God is trying to tell you, but I do know that for me, it has been so important for me to spend quality time with God and just journal away, okay? I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like I said, got one or two things out of it. If you enjoyed it, make sure that you like. And if you're not subscribed already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And also remember, I have a whole email list going on. So if you're not subscribed to that, make sure that you check the link in my description box to subscribe. That is all for today, y'all. I will see you guys in my next video.